Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show, hosted by me, yours truly, Jeff Bellomo. I hope you're doing well out there today. I look forward to our podcast today. At Bellomo Associates, we do everything from estate planning and elder law. And on this podcast, we cover all things estate planning and elder law, which includes anything from basic estate planning, wills, powers of attorney, asset protection trusts, to crisis planning, Medicaid crisis planning, and administration after death. So essentially those are the areas that we cover in our practice, and also the areas that we cover here on the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show. Remember, folks, this is a radio show. Please don't take legal advice from this radio show. It does not constitute an attorney-client relationship between us. It is merely for informational and educational purposes. I would recommend that you seek out counsel in the state that you reside in to be able to assist you with the issues that you may or may not be having. If you're in Pennsylvania, we'd love to help you at 717-845-5390, 717-845-5390, or on the web at www.bellomoassociates.com. Bellomo Associates, we do education first and foremost. The reason that we founded the firm and that I decided to do this area of the law is so that what happened to my family in that hospital room doesn't happen to yours, which is why we offer weekly workshops in estate planning, crisis planning, special needs trust planning, and post-death administration, both for probate and for trusts. So we certainly are able to cover all the gamut when it comes to estate planning and elder law, and we do it all through education first and foremost. Our motto is, you give us 2 hours of your time for a workshop in the area that you need, and we will give you an hour of a team member's time to go over your situation, give you ideas, tell you the cost and our thoughts up front, so that we enter into a relationship because it makes sense, not because we have some of your money held hostage. So definitely check us out if you want to see one of our upcoming workshops that we host regularly in York and Lancaster. And we also have links if you would like to watch one from the comfort of your home as well. Today on the podcast, I want to talk a little bit about professional boot camps. So far, all of our podcasts have been informational as far as a consumer goes, talking about what is estate planning, what is elder law, what is a will, what is a trust. And it dawned on me recently, I've been getting a lot of questions from professionals, and it hit me, our biggest referral sources are financial professionals and healthcare professionals. And we've been getting a lot of questions about our professional boot camps that we offer. So I thought I would take time today and talk a little bit about the origin of the boot camp, what it is, and how it helps professionals in and around our community, and then ultimately our consumers, because our professionals then are armed with the information and can then pass that information on to their patients, their clients, their consumers, whoever it is that they'll be working with. So if you go back probably about 15 years, I was getting into the practice, getting my feet wet about 5 years in at that point. And I started to realize that there was a little bit of a rub between the healthcare profession and the elder law bar. And for example, just to make up one, a lot of times capacity becomes a little bit of a tug of war, if you will, between the healthcare professionals and the legal professionals. So for example, when an individual is in a hospital and let's say they have a dementia diagnosis, and the doctor will put into the chart, dementia diagnosis or whatever the diagnosis is. And oftentimes a doctor will put something like unable to make decisions or, lacks the capacity to make decisions for himself or herself. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks go by, the person is in a law office and the attorney is now meeting with that individual to determine whether or not they have legal capacity to sign into a power of attorney. And, just for fun. The capacity to enter into a power of attorney is, essentially understanding, who you are, who it is that you're naming, and what it is, the powers that you're giving to that individual to be able to assist you. All in all, it's a pretty low bar, given all things. And the fact that somebody has a dementia diagnosis by itself doesn't necessarily mean anything. It certainly means the lawyer needs to pay attention. They need to ask the right questions. They need to be present. They need to really kind of dig to make sure that the person does have capacity. But the fact is, it's a low bar. And so we can meet with somebody on a Tuesday, 2 weeks after they got a dementia diagnosis, and still believe that they have capacity to enter into a legal document. And years ago, I was struggling because, you get calls from nurses, you get calls from doctors, I don't see how you could possibly do this. I put in my chart that he didn't have the ability to make decisions 5 weeks ago. And I would try to explain to him that the law says that the individual has to be lucid in the moment. And then I asked these questions and they clearly understood me. And so it was this back and forth. And I was having conversations with a few of my social worker friends, and we were having a ball. I mean, we were tackling that issue among a whole bunch of others that kind of come up. And, I had fun, they had fun. And at the end of the conversation, they said, you really should do this for social workers professionally so that we can get credit. We have all these credits we have that we need. And boy, it would be nice to be able to come to something, like you, because you're entertaining, you're fun, you certainly have a different spin on things, and it would be great. So we looked into it. We determined that we were going to offer free social worker credits and went ahead and hosted an event. And we had near 100 people in the room that day, and it was phenomenal. The feedback that we got, the comments, the people that requested, make sure you tell us when you're doing another one. And so several months later, we did another social worker boot camp. Well, around this time, we start to realize, well, wait a minute, we're saying social worker, but why wouldn't it be healthcare, right? Why wouldn't you open it up to certified nurse practitioners, RNs, family marriage counselors, on top of social workers, personal administrators, care home administrators, right? I mean, why not go ahead and just open it up to the whole area of healthcare? And so we did, and we got all the credits approved. We still offer free credits to those professionals. And it's a wonderful day. It's 6 or 7 credits, depending on what we get it accredited for. We could easily go longer, but the days are just so hard, and they're so long that we are currently doing a 6-credit class, just to give a little bit of a break. But it is a wonderful ability and time for us as healthcare professionals and lawyers, elder care attorneys particularly, to see how the two areas jive, and at the same time how the two areas have some conflict, and why that conflict occurs, what it means, what is it from my perspective, what is it from their perspectives. And one of the things that I say in every boot camp is, the number one cardinal rule of public speaking is always know more about the topic that you're speaking on than anyone else in the room, right? Well, when you're doing a healthcare boot camp, there are definitely areas of the practice around capacity, around end-of-life decisions, around healthcare decisions, the healthcare statute, that clearly the healthcare professionals know more than me. I mean, there's no doubt. I would never pretend otherwise, and it doesn't matter. I'm able to just put that disclaimer out there at the beginning. We have a good laugh, and we enjoy the 6 hours together professionally. Well, as time went on, I was finding the same conflict that was occurring with financial professionals, right? Whether it be financial advisors, accountants. So the one thing that's interesting about estate planning and elder law, and I always say this, is, a person should have a team behind them, right? And who should be on the team? Well, it should be an elder law attorney. It should be a financial advisor. It should be an accountant. Maybe there's an insurance agent on board. And each one of those people has a job, right? They have a focus. They have a what they need to do on behalf of the client. So generally speaking, a lawyer's job is to protect assets, right? An accountant's job is to what? Reduce taxes. And a financial advisor's job is to increase wealth. Well, those don't always jive, believe it or not, right? There are a lot of situations, particularly on the elder law side, the asset protection side, where the three of those ideas are completely at odds with each other. And so if I do one thing, if I do it for protection of assets, I may need to take a tax hit and reduce my wealth in the short term. Well, that may be the best decision, right? Depending on what's the personal goals of the client, depending on where the client's headed and what they want. But in order to do that, the accountant has to understand, all right, we may have to take a tax hit this year. The advisor may have to understand, okay, I may lose assets under management for a short period of time, but in the end, I'm going to gain a lot more than I would have had the client not entered the nursing home or ended up in a long-term care situation. So over time, we started to realize that, we needed to offer the same boot camp for financial professionals as we do for healthcare professionals, because we want to get the people in the room so that we can have these conversations ahead of time, right? Let's talk up front about the fact that we may have to liquidate a retirement account in order to be able to slowly over time protect the assets in a trust so that they can't be lost. Because a retirement account is an asset that's accountable resource for long-term care. And the average care here in Pennsylvania is $14,000 a month. Certainly that care will add up. Not to mention, oftentimes what we see is, there's a caregiver. Typically one spouse is healthier than the other spouse, and they end up caring as they get older into their elderly years. And then all of a sudden, the person who is the caregiver, they fall, they break a hip, they have a panic attack, a stroke, a car accident, something happens to the caregiver. Well, now what happens to the couple, right? They both end up in a long-term care situation. And instead of spending, say $14,000 a month, now we're spending close to $30,000 a month. And I don't care how much wealth you accumulate. It is not going to take a long time at those kind of numbers to deplete serious amounts of assets. So we created the boot camps for the financial professionals to be able to have those discussions, right? It's all about case studies. It's all about real live examples of files and things that occur in real life so that we can get in a room of 100 people and then have a conversation. And I can't tell you how many times I hear, oh, wow, that makes so much sense. I didn't understand why the client was doing that. I didn't understand why that was the advice of the lawyer, because I didn't know what was going on. There wasn't great explanations. There wasn't great communication. So the boot camps offer professionals, both in the healthcare side and the financial side, an opportunity to get in a room of like-minded professionals and learn about an area where, although it's not their specialty, right? Certainly a financial advisor, an accountant is not trying to be an elder law attorney, but understanding the issues and understanding why we may want to do something now to avoid the potential later. It's just a great opportunity to hear those examples in those cases. And no, I don't expect all those professionals in the room getting 6 credits to be able to be an elder law attorney. But if we can get them hearing the concepts and what's occurring, the next time we have a case together, when the client comes in and says, hey, they're working with Jeff's law firm and they're potentially going to have to liquidate a retirement account, or we're going to have to move money in order to be able to protect it, the advisor may not know exactly what is going to occur, but they're going to say, oh yeah, I was at that boot camp. I remember him talking about it. I remember the theory. Absolutely. I'll give him a call. We'll touch base with the law firm and just make sure we're all on the same page. But without that education, that conversation goes very differently. The client says they're doing it. The advisor gets upset because they feel like they may be losing money, or there may be higher taxes being paid for no reason. And then they, of course, put their guard up. And, of course, a confused mind will always say no. So what it's doing is just getting out into the public and sharing the different scenarios that will occur that may force us to do something that otherwise an advisor would not be doing, or potentially an accountant would not be doing. So we're currently hosting 4 boot camps a year for 6 credits. If you'd like to find out the next one or the dates for the upcoming ones, please give the office a call at 717-845-5390 and look us up on the web at www.bellomoassociates.com. I know there's one coming up in the fall here, September, October, so we'll definitely started taking reservations, so you can certainly reserve your seat for that boot camp, which will be hosted in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at our Lancaster office at 2173 Embassy Drive, which is the Regency office there on Embassy Drive. So it's a wonderful room in the basement. We can fit about 75 people. The last one that we had, we didn't quite get that much, but we were getting close to full capacity. So I would definitely give a call early on. And the one that we're hosting is actually for all professionals. We have since changed the way that we were doing them and having them separated. What we realized was the conversation, the interaction is actually better when you mix the room, because it's not all about one topic then. It tends to be a little more about each topic, and it's a lot more fun. You get a lot more interaction that way. And so it's a great way to mix. It's a great way to network with other professionals from the healthcare arena, as well as the financial professional arena. So if you're listening to this and you have an advisor or an accountant that you work with, or if you're a social worker or a nurse, definitely check it out and let your professionals know about the boot camp, about the credits that they can receive. We have people coming from all over the state of Pennsylvania to be able to attend the boot camp. And not only that, but I actually train thousands of lawyers across the country, and many of them are actually giving the same boot camp. So some people will be coming from all over to hear the boot camp in order to be able to bring it back to their state and teach it as well. So it's a fun thing that we created years ago, and it's certainly a powerful way to get to know other professionals, and for other professionals to get to know what we do in the estate planning and elder law context. So a lot of fun, very enjoyable, definitely something that you should attend if you're a professional that would need any sort of credits on the healthcare side. It can be certified nurse practitioners, RNs, social workers, family and marriage counselors, nursing home administrators. On the advisor side, it can be CPAs, CFPs, insurance agent. All of those are approved for credits. So certainly a wide variety of different types of credits that we can obtain, and that we can have you in the room for, and to be able to receive credit. I will tell you, a lot of professionals come who are not getting credit simply because they want the information and understand the key ideas that come up, and we certainly enjoy doing those boot camps. So we'd love to have you there. I'd like to thank you for attending the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show with Jeff Bellomo, where we discuss all things estate planning and elder law. Today we talked a little bit about the financial and healthcare professional boot camps that we offer 4 times a year, where we offer 6 free credits to professionals to come to learn everything from A to Z in estate planning and elder law in one day, and a fun, entertaining atmosphere. Lots of jokes, lots of great stories, lots of fun, lots of great food, and lots of great company. So if it's something you're interested in, please check us out, 717-845-5390, or we're on the web at www.bellomoassociates.com. Hope to see you at the upcoming boot camp. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you on the next podcast of the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show. We'll see you real soon.